to make sure that it's on there, but we have been trying to get the word out, especially since tonight was moved, was a different meeting than usual since we have the holiday morning, so.
Yeah, any ideas for sure that we could get more involvement? I think it's going to be key here to making sure that a lot of people ran on communication, and we just want to make sure everyone knows what's going on. That budget meeting presentation was really important. People want to know what's going on, and they need to tap.
And a great thing that we started this year was that the agendas are posted 24 more than 24 hours before, usually 4 o'clock, the close of business the day before, as opposed to the morning of. Yes, the meetings are on the website. Joanne, did you want to add to that?
I just want you to know all special meetings are, we send out an e-alert for all special meetings, and I actually sent out an e-alert because this was a Monday meeting, and I didn't want people to know. So anyone in the community who signed up for e-alerts and are not getting them, just contact me and I'll see if there's an issue with the email.
Joanne, can you put something in Merrick out?
Yeah, I mean, because that's, people are only getting it if they're
That's what I mean.
I think people don't realize there's a difference between like being at your elementary school. I feel like there's different lists of different things and people don't know that. So in other words, like you can sign up for something through the website, or you get the Canby Avenue emails, or you get the PTA. But I think people don't realize that just because they're signed up for one, they're not signed up. Right? And we're like, Power School is not up. Like, would it be on Power School?
I mean, we could just simplify and put connect that out every month for the board meeting. I think that would be a real reasonable, simple start that would get the word out. How's that?
That'd be great. And then also even the schools themselves can send emails, or we have, like everyone's on PTA Facebook groups and different things. Like, see if we can just.
Remind that?
I mean,
Right,
we're
we'll look into
gonna
the
look
remind
into it.
that.
We're going
What
to.
we could definitely do is a district connect ed each month to remind everyone about the board meeting. That would be a first step, I think. And let's see how that goes, and I'd like feedback then. Let's see if that works. Well, I guess if there's 1,000 people here, then we got good feedback.
We're going to need more chairs for the November meeting. I think that's it. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Rania? I'm sorry, I think you have two. I didn't look at them, but sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Whatever one you want, go first. Whichever one you choose.
All right, so the first one is the one I've been here for the last year, so I guess I'll just touch on that quickly, is adding the holiday to the calendar. I forgot the name of the law now, I had it on my phone, but when I was at the at the high school meeting last week, 32-something or other, I can pull it
We're
out.
going to have our attorney actually, did you respond to
The
that?
attorney jumped in at the other meeting about this law that, I guess I'm not a lawyer, but I was going to run it by my friend who is a lawyer. She offered to review it as well and just give us any insight there. But by no stretch of the imagination, or is anybody coming here to any of the other meetings and saying that we are legally entitled to having our religious holiday off, or that you are legally required to give it to us. So that was sort of my, it keeps being referred to legal, and I'm not really sure what's the legal in all of this. I mean, it's more just a matter of acceptance, and I'm sure New York City schools and all these other districts that have passed the legal muster, and I'm sure they have good lawyers on their teams too. So I'm not sure why it keeps being bounced to the lawyers, so that's one question related to that. The other question is,
I'm going to answer that question.
No,
first.
related to this.
Why, I'm just thinking, why,
Yeah,
I'm going to
what's
bounce
the
every time that we're going to close the school system. I'm going to, just as an attorney, I'm going to consult our counsel for that, because we are, to close the school district for a day. So, and I will let him address that. So, I think it is sound advice to get legal counsel for that, but
I will let him understand
Yes.
what's the legal spin on that, I guess, or
Can you do it right now?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So, and the attorney at the school district is one of my partners, so I'm just.
Full disclosure.
Yeah. But we also represent schools that do have it on the calendar too. So our role is to advise the school board as to the status of the law and what would be the potential legal ramifications associated with adding it onto the calendar or not adding it onto the calendar. So that's where the law comes into play. Because when they make an informed decision, I use the word informed, we want them to be as informed as possible in making that decision. In terms of passing legal muster, there really have been no court cases that squarely address that, as you probably know. I know you spoke to a very eloquent speaking on the last meeting. So what we're looking at is we're looking at the status of the law as it exists in other cases, and looking at it by analogy to see what arguments could be raised by either party when advocating for it to be put on the calendar, other parties saying, no, you should not put it on the calendar, and challenging it. So that's where the law comes into play. I know Mr. Corona wants me to channel to my partner, and we discussed the high school committee and sort of address the law, which I was planning on doing towards the end of the meeting to give a synopsis of it. But that's where the law does come into play.
So I guess you should protect yourself so that if it's added, no one will sue you that you took a day away from their kid's calendar or something. I mean, it's just going to reshuffle days. It's not taking away.
It could go either way.
Yeah.
Whether we don't add it, then we could have people saying, legally, you should add it.
Right.
An argument could be made. If we do
no,
put it on the calendar,
Yeah.
if we do put it on the calendar, there could be arguments saying that there's an excessive entanglement with religion. Why are you putting this holiday on a particular calendar? Now, it has to have a secular purpose. I'm sure you've heard that discussed probably in prior conversations.
Right.
And when you're looking at secular purpose, you're looking at
Impact.
impact, correct,
Right.
educational impact.
Right.
So those are all issues that come up where there could be a challenge based upon the Establishment Clause of the United States. And so that's the sensitive discussion. We all recognize the fact that's a sensitive issue because you're talking about children and wanting your children to be able to also celebrate their holiday and also be able to go to school and not to school. So I know the board's fully cognizant of that. But again, our role is not standing behind.
No, you're talking about the ramifications, and I guess I haven't actually heard the ramifications. And I actually went back and read the law, and it was talking about, it's more the economics of closing a school and whatnot is what I got out of the law that was quoted at the meeting. But then it got into legal jargon that I'm a dentist and I couldn't understand. So beyond that, I know that the high school, Dr. DiTomaso said that their plan was to publicly discuss and vote on the holiday being passed at their December meeting. And if anybody was absent or there was any reason that did not move forward, that it would then be discussed and voted on publicly in January. So I just wanted to know, again, because we're dealing with 5 different districts to do this one thing, is that the plan is that the thought floating around, or what's the deal up here?
Yeah, I don't think there's, I'll speak on behalf of the board, there's no coordinated effort here coming from our end of it. I mean, each district has to look at this from the confines of their district in terms of what that impact would be. It could be varied, obviously.
Oh, yeah, no, we could pass it one and not in the other, but I think as far as the timing of when the discussion and the vote would happen.
Yeah, so I think that's under discussion. Right now, there's no definitive decision as to when that's going to occur. Well, we are cognizant of the fact that, that there may be some kind of public vote.
And I just want to make everyone aware that this is something that the board is discussing. Mr. Corona was going to bring it up in his high school report, even if we weren't going to bring it up tonight, it was on our agenda that we discussed it before. So we are trying to move forward to make a definitive decision, but we want to make sure that we make the right decision and take into consideration everything that we need to take into consideration. So we are on this, and we are, like I said at the last meeting, we are trying to, we did ask our new council for advice. Mr. Corona did attend the high school meeting where I think there was a discussion on it, and he did come back to the board. He briefed us an hour ago, and we were planning on discussing this tonight anyway. We are going to discuss this again, whether you come up here or not.
Yeah.
It will be on an agenda. I'm not going to make a promise what agenda it's going to be on right now because we have to discuss it with the board. But it will be coming up, and I think you had another question, so I'm going to ask you to go to the next one.
Sorry, I
Okay.
didn't have too much of your time. It's okay. The other question actually is related to the music program in North Merrick. And I don't know by some coincidence how all the music teachers are here today, which is wonderful. But
Yes, a big shout out to our music teachers.
yeah, I know. So I have children in 6th, 4th grade. My 6th grader loves and has excelled in every band that's offered at this district. The jazz band, wind ensemble, the regular band. I mean, gosh, we were going to concerts and wearing his dress clothes every night in the spring, it felt like, after a while, and going for morning rehearsals every day. Now, my 4th grader is coming, or felt like every day. My 4th grader now just started her instrument. And what came to my attention last year when my son was asked to help out with the 4th grade concert is that certain instruments like his saxophone was not being offered to the 4th graders. And then when it came time for my daughter this year to pick her instrument, our selection of instruments was much fewer than what was available to my son when he was going to 5th grade. Now, parents that don't have kids in both grades would have no basis for that comparison. But when I questioned this further, my understanding was that if kids wanted to do something like saxophone, they would have to play, and there's other instruments, I just can't think of them off the top of my head. They would have to then be related instruments, and then in 5th grade transition to the instrument they actually wanted to play in the first place. So I believe what I was told was this is related to some short staffing in the music department. My understanding is some folks retired, maybe you folks weren't hired. I really don't follow the budget line by line, so I don't know where there's a shortage where we're not able to offer as many. Now, thankfully, my kids got the instruments they wanted, but I do know others that had to start with an instrument last year, and then I just feel like you lose a year of perfecting the one that you want to eventually excel at. So I'm not really sure if it's a funding issue, a staffing issue, like why is our variety being limited? And I guess everybody's here, so.
Well, you gave us a lot of information, so thank you. There is no one answer, but I can tell you that we are not short on staffing, and that yes, there were retirements, but that would not affect that. So I do have to do a little research. Mr. Merrick is our principal in charge of music, and I would like to meet with him, with my staff, my central office team, as well as the music teachers, and get information, and then I will definitely get back to you.
Because I feel like these teachers are running themselves right. I feel like they're always running around doing a million things, and they're providing such a wonderful, wonderful program.
They are.
So I don't mean to discount that in any way, but again, I just want to understand why things are kind of tweaked the way they were.
All right, so let us get that information. So that we, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? It's due this again later. Okay. One more. Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. Just give it to me.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm a little concerned about the internet safety, and I'm just about staff. And I know that you had handed out something here about internet safety, but my concern is for the district, for.
Is that policy?
Yeah, no, not that policy, but in terms of like neighboring districts being hacked. And I know that there's so many concerns about, our budget and how much money we're spending. I'm just wondering what safety measures are being put in place.
So we did mention this at the last meeting, and I don't.
You did, but I was just wondering if I can get a little bit more information on it. Is somebody in charge of that? Is there?
Me and us, all of us. Yes.
My only reason why I ask is because in the school district that I work in, there is a strong emphasis on it that as a teacher, all we can do is just one little click, and all of our information can be gone. And I think that that's very important.
And very true.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering who and what are we doing to protect all of our students' information from being taken, and we have to then pay a ransom for it.
Right. Well, a couple of different levels of support and protection that we do have. We do have insurance, first and foremost, as all school districts do, ransomware insurance.
Right.
And we checked into our policy, and that came from Mr. McDade's office. So when I say we're in charge, we all have a piece of it. Our servers are also, our information, our data is housed off-premise. It is not housed here, which is very important in protecting your data.
Right.
We take a snapshot every day of our data, so the worst possible scenario will be a loss of 24 hours of data, and that's the benefit of doing that snapshot each and every day. So that's another level of protection. We also do trainings with our staff. They are super good though. They've received emails with my name attached to it, and I get calls, that doesn't even sound like you. You would never write that in an email. They're very accustomed to recognizing now phishing emails or emails that are pretending to be me or another central office administrator, and they report them immediately, and then we know to put something out to staff to delete. So there is testing that we do in-house. We're also getting another program which will test our staff and give us a percentage of, how many clicked on it, how many didn't.
Where I work, we did that.
Right, there's a program, it's Before You Know or something like that it's called.
I believe I work in a larger district, but their technology department did that to all the staff members, and it was mind-boggling.
Mind-boggling.
How many staff members clicked on it? Not only clicked on it, but then gave their own personal information.
Yes.
So, to me, it's just alarming, and I would just like to know that our information is going to be protected, because from what I hear, some of the districts that this happened to, some of them are still working to get their
I would just
information.
like to say one thing, when that story broke, I think it was in August with Rockville Center, the other school district, our superintendent did connect to all the board members, informed us of the breach, and said it was, one of the highest priorities going forward the school year. So, I have to say, the staff is on it. I think the board is very in tune. We're all aware, in all of our professional and personal, aspects that we know we have to be very careful with our the internet and everything else. So I think it's something that we're all aware of, and we are focusing on. It's a priority of the board in tune with the administration. So I expect that we will be having updates on what's going on going forward. But I don't think, honestly, I don't think there's anything more at this time that the board or the administration can do, except for just keep with the trainings, make sure we're on top of the insurance, any new any new things that happen, and be aware of what's going on around in the in the other districts as well. So I appreciate you bringing it to the attention too, because of what your profession and where you are too. But I think Dr. Sini, I think we're on it, and we're going to keep on it, and it's something that in this day and age, in every profession, wherever you work or at home, you have to be aware of and protect your information as well as your child's information. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're going to just move on now. Any other public comments at the second session? So we go into our business, and I'd like to make a motion to a consent agenda for our letters A through N for approval if there's no objection from any of the board members.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? So 8 through N passes, and then we're going to move to number 7, the personal actions report. If we have a motion to approve that, accept that.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? And then 8A, B, and C are just first read policies, and I just want to make it clear that these policies were created in order to comply with state mandates. So I believe they're all copies. All policies are on the side there for your review, and I guess we'll move to accept and approve that at the next meeting. So moving on, we'll go to number 9. And that is special services, and that is for our board to approve the 4 IEPs, which were developed by the North American Committee on Special Education as detailed in the mailing. So we have a motion to that. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so report of the committees, number 10, high school.
Okay, so
You're up.
I've been told I have to go quick, so here we go. High school.
We want you to be thorough.
I will be thorough. All right, high school.
Take your time, Mr.
Yes. We recognized that we had 3 national merit semifinalists in the Belmont Merrick Central High School District. I believe they were all from Kennedy. We also had 11 All-State NISMA musicians. There was a report about the progress at Brookside, over at Meadowbrook, in the auditorium. We'll have a brand new seating there, so by the time we have our theater arts performance, you'll be very comfortable sitting in brand new seats.
Let's get out of those other chairs.
That's correct. I remember that from Annie last year. Also, there is a plan right now in place to put air conditioning in Mams and Grand Avenue. A discussion we also had was that AC has become a safety issue since we no longer open up windows fully on first floors of schools. And part of being a safe school is keeping those windows secure. So, a byproduct of that is very hot rooms. And of course, most of the buildings in the Central High School District will have ACs in the classrooms, but the cafeterias are not. So we are putting AC in the cafeterias of those two middle schools, mostly because they're smaller rooms than the high school, and that can be done. And that was also funded by money from the food, we call it
Lunch fund.
lunch fund, thank you. Also, there was a big discussion of the Eid holiday, which we heard here briefly. So what happened at the high school, we did indicate that there would be a public discussion in December. We're pretty sure December. We haven't, made that part of the agenda as of yet, but pretty sure it would be December. Dr. DiSamasso also mentioned that very important that there would be a good chance that there would be a difference between the calendars in the different school districts. So there's a very good chance that just because Central High School says they're going to have off for Eid, that might not be the case that Merrick or North Merrick or the other districts would coincide. Each district has to make its own decision. There was also important discussion about getting council advice. And I'm not sure, do you want to mention what Chris Powers said at the meeting really quick? Or? We discussed it. I know you heard that the law was cited at the Central High School meeting.
Yeah, it's a little, even though we are partners, I've known each other for many years, it's a little bit too difficult to say what you said without my being there. But again, as I indicated before, I know that, from talking to Mr. Powers, and he gave an analysis as to where the law is with respect to this issue. Mainly the fact that you have to, as I indicated before, have to have a secular purpose. The reason for adding a holiday onto a school calendar can't be strictly for religious purposes. So you have to look at what is the impact on the school district by not adding, as justification for adding that holiday. So if you have a significant, for example, number of the student population that will not be attending school because of observance, that is an example of having a secular purpose to provide that holiday on the calendar. In terms of the legal ramifications, that if the district were to make the decision to do that, without having the supporting data to demonstrate this significant educational impact, it does make the district vulnerable to potential legal challenge. That the reason for adding the holiday is secular in nature. And that's what we were discussing before as to where the law could come into play in terms of potential legal ramification. So it's my understanding of being there at the meeting that Mr. Powers discussed that. The statute that you referenced is the Education Law Statute, section 3210 is the number. And that does also speak to the fact that the district has discretion to be able to add a holiday other than a legal holiday, which is already on the calendar. If there's a demonstration that the reason that they're doing that is because there would be a significant educational impact by not doing that, and that a number of students would be absent. So that would be justification for adding such a holiday. I believe that's what Mr. Powers had discussed.
Yeah, so, and like I mentioned, well, it'll be discussed publicly December, and it'll be a very important meeting for you to attend and see how things go. Again, it had nothing to do with what we decide here at North Merrick or North Belmore or the other districts. And that's about it. Did I give John an honorary doctorate?
Yes.
I think
I
they
did,
did.
didn't I? Yes, strike that from the minutes. All right, very good. Now move on to PTA.
Still being documents.
Yes, I'm just giving out
He is in the
documents.
Hall of Fame though for
True,
lacrosse.
so he deserves a
I don't know what
doctorate.
title to give for that though. Well,
Yes.
he's a Hall of Famer.
Let me move on to PTA. All right. I just gotta bring this up. Here we go. Okay, so PTA, we had our district council minutes meeting, and what came up. So at Fayette, there's always so much going on these PTAs. It's hard to say all this in a few minutes, but Everybody is having their Halloween parade and fall festivals, and the discussion came up about security at the fall festivals. I know there was some discussion, and Dr. Zeniak did say that we would have additional security available. Even it was brought up and it was taken care of really quickly, that we did have it on table for that. A lot of different book fairs are happening. At Fayette is 25th and 26th. We have Picture Day. We have the Kid Stuff fundraising book. I spoke about that last time also. Picture Retake Day. An outdoor movie night that was on September 20th. That sounded like a lot of fun. Camp Avenue. They are selling or sold blankets and magnets for Reflections. Everybody had their walk to school day. I believe that was what, October 2nd, right?
Yeah, it was Wednesday.
All right, October 2nd was walk to school day. Very important. They all had their welcome back picnics and things like that. Different schools at Camp Avenue, they have Miss Chocolate Picture Day, also different fundraising things going on at Camp Avenue. Old Mill Road, where the discussion about extra security came up, talking about having 2 ways to get into the property, and that was discussed about maybe putting up some kind of blockade and having extra security. Their book fair is this Friday, October 11th. I understand they're going to have some very important volunteers to help out for that one, so I'm looking forward to working at the Old Mill Road book fair. Also, SEPTA, very important dates to make note of. ADD Awareness Day, which is October 17th. You're supposed to wear orange. And Dyslexia Awareness is November 16th, no, November 7th, and you wear teal, okay, for those days. They were looking for a speaker, they had a great speaker, Dr. Holmes. I was there for that one, on how to reduce stress and anxiety. They were looking for a speaker, but I think we found one perhaps.
Yes, Mr. Benjamin.
Right, great.
So he'll be speaking. That flyer I did approve today, so that'll be going out.
He'll be there. Also, there was a discussion about chain of command. I think it's also very important, and the PTA's discussed it, that the chain of command, when things come up at different buildings, to start at the building level, start with the teacher, and that needs to move on to the principal of the building, and not have it like quickly escalated to the board level of superintendent. So we're the chain of command, and we encourage everybody to follow that.
We like to call it the chain of communication. It's a little softer.
A little soft, okay, the chain of communication. Also, talking about the wellness program, which you heard about earlier, and I think that's it.
And we love the retired Mr. Corona.
Thank you. Building and Grounds Committee?
Hello?
Hello.
Short and sweet this afternoon, evening, night. So the gym floor at Old Mill Road is progressing very well. It's been sanded and sealed, and we're starting to lay out the stripes. We're going to have to wait a little while for the logo because it's custom. They send it out, it gets cut, and then sent, and then blank and painted. It's going to be very nice. The kids had Laura, I guess she left, Mrs. Beluga set it up with the kids where they got to vote on which mascot they wanted. So they got some input. I think they really appreciated that. We're removing a tree on the south side of Fayette because it's hollowed out. Camp Discovery is coming along, almost there. I think we'll be done this week, and then we'll start adding furniture, which is going to be great. We're getting ready for the colder weather, believe it or not. I mean, it's, you know, one day it's 90 degrees, one day it's 60 degrees, but we still have to maintain drainage as the leaves start to fall, which is already occurring. We go through our snow equipment now because, you know, we get one of those early snow storms, it's got to be ready, and it's all been winterized or summerized, I guess you'd say. And today I met with the BOCES safety specialist. We have a joint program that we're doing with North Belmore School District. We're sharing safety specialists with BOCES. What these people do is they go through our systems, they work with us, they work with admin, they work with the building principals, they work with everyone to make sure that not only are we compliant with all the latest state regulations, but that we're actually a safe school. And anything that and they work in all the districts in Nassau County and probably Suffolk as well. but we work with Nassau LOCs, and these people know everything there is to know about safety. It's just, it's going to be great because it's going to help us all check the boxes, make sure that our buildings are secure, make sure we're following procedures that keep kids safe, and anything we can learn from them is going to be amazing. Very excited to have them in the district, and Tom and Dave worked that out with the North Belmont School District as well as Dr. Senior to make that happen, because with the small districts, we have to share services all the time, and this is a perfect scenario and a perfect case of that. So other than that, there's not much going on, just day-to-day stuff. Does anybody have any questions or facilities concerns?
I have a question, and I probably should know the answer. Can the kids play on the gym floor before the raccoon is on it?
No.
Okay.
Because after all the paint and lines and basins are laid, then we irritate. So nobody can go on.
Okay.
It's got urethane and it's actually.
Okay. And thank you. I just-
Or probably bad luck too if they played there before.
Okay.
Right.
Before the raccoon's there, I figured.
How long do you think it'll take before the gym is opened up again and the kids are able to use it?
I'm hoping in 2 weeks we'll be
Oh,
done
great.
and
For
turned
the
over.
next board meeting?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Sorry, this is a question for you, I think. Do you know when the wings room is going to be ready for the kids?
Well, we should be complete with the construction of it. We're just doing punch list items, small trim pieces and stuff like that right now, finishing up the dating wiring. And then we're going to wax it up, make it look pretty, and put the furniture in it. We got most of the furniture. We're receiving the last few pieces, I believe, next week. And it'll be ready to go. We'll have
So like what was the target date is like the end of October?
it'll be before the end of October. I'm hoping next week we'll be ready, and then I think there's going to be a little pomp and circumstance. You're going to have a ribbon cutting.
Great.
Doing the soccer fields at Old Mill Road, I know that we had thought that we had done by the start of school, they're still not ready for us.
We're just trying to keep that center goal mouth closed off for a little while. We've been working with the PE coaches and.
And the portable nets are not.
I'm sorry?
The portable nets too, they're not set up.
Yeah, the portable nets, they were actually vandalized, and we.
Twice.
Kids at Old Mill has always been a hub of activity, nighttime activity. The brand new goals were broken, and we've got police reports, and we're hoping to run it through insurance. Breaks my heart that brand new goals that not a single ball or kick through are ruined. Over $6,000.
They can't be repaired, no?
To repair them is to replace the main structure, which is essentially replacing them. There's a couple of pieces that weren't broken, but the uprights and the crossbars were all bent. And unfortunately, you know, we could see it happening on video, but it's so far away you can't make out faces or anything. You just see, you know, a dozen kids flipping this thing over and smashing it on the ground.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so we're going to move on to